So that's what I'm reviewing today. Marmalade got top of the stack, above even Deadpool Wolverine. And that's what James is having for dinner. Pretty yummy. Some blueberries and banana. And it looks like he's going to talk about the moon a little bit. So we'll see how things go here.
Maybe in an unexpected way. I don't know if you can see Elvis there begging for food.
Yes, he's very excited.
Stylish.
Because today when I went to the library to type up my... Opie's even more excited. He's revved up. To type up my chapter of the novel that I've been working on, then they gave this. And the dogs are like, oh yes, that! And they knew right away when I came in, they could smell it in my bag. And they wanted it then. And I said,
amazing.
no, not until James comes. So we'll see.
They were very excited.
So I'll give them a little piece each. Take that.
Yeah.
And then I'll get talking. And then I'll
Take
give them
your time,
another little
guys.
piece, and we'll see how this goes. Dogs really, they're already done that piece.
Yeah, see,
Too
you're
fast.
eating it too fast.
So,
We call that gronking.
yeah. So Marmalade, boy, did I ever not expect this to get top of the stack. It's 100 minutes long, so that's about perfect for a movie. Really?
An hour and 40,
in Deadpool Wolverine, he said, Deadpool character, he made a joke at one point saying, oh, the audience, they're used to long-running movies, long-running time. But really, we are for this sort of thing. So,
Is that Ryan Reynolds acting Deadpool?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Good Canadian
So,
actor.
now if I could only find the runtime for this. There we go. 128 minutes. So, not too bad for a superhero thing. Not really too long at all.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
It didn't feel long.
Well, that's
The
interesting.
jokes kept coming.
Well, there you go.
This is a very different movie. I mean, I'm putting things against each other that, I mean, you probably wouldn't necessarily be into this if you're into that, or vice versa, whatever. But I watch a lot of things. So, for me, it's just great. So, yeah, Marmalade, this quite an adventure story. It did remind me of another movie, but I can't tell you, because if I tell you what movie it reminds me of, then it would give away the story, and I don't want to do that, because this is so great. It's really entertaining to watch. It didn't end up where I thought it was going, and yeah, it's a terrific story. The actors did a good job. Everyone involved did a great job with this. I was really impressed. So, Marmalade, top of the stack for sure. And there's no real major violence or anything like that. I mean, this is way more violent. And apparently Disney put it out. I can't find that on the back of it, but they were joking about it in the show. So it's amazing because there's some extreme violence in this, but it's funny. I don't know really what to say about the Deadpool stuff.
Well, I'm sure they gave Ryan Reynolds lots of funny lines.
He's terrific for it.
Great Deadpool.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they couldn't have found a better person to play that character. So
Maybe that's what they
great.
thought of. Deadpool.
Yeah, I don't know. He does a terrific job.
Yep.
So definitely worth watching. And Babes, worth watching. And I didn't expect that. I looked at the cover and I'm like, the bridesmaid of baby making? I don't know if that's going to be any fun, right?
So that's
but it was really funny.
Woman to the right there, isn't it?
What?
It's a woman to the right.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a teenage boy. Oh well.
Well,
That's maybe
she does act silly like that. So, and yeah, I don't want to give away the story with this either because it's worth watching. It's funny, whatever. And yeah, everybody involved did a great job with this one. Thelma. Now this, they've kind of made some jokes about it, so you know where it's going. They're talking about Tom Cruise doing his stunts for Mission Impossible and stuff like that. And really this is Mission Impossible, but instead of somebody young and fit, it's this little old
Thelma.
lady. Yeah, and instead of racing like around in a fast car, she's stolen a little motorized scooter and she's going very slowly, right? But it's still really fast for her because she's over 90 years old.
Oh my God.
And so, and the parts like where they're showing in Mission Impossible, they're showing high-tech computer hacking skills or whatever. She's just trying to use the computer, and that's difficult for her. It's like a big achievement just getting anything done, right? So, yeah, it's good too. Enjoyable. A little slower, but I mean, you'd expect it to be slower. She's not over 90, right? So, now I don't exactly like all of the messages in this, like, I don't believe criminals should be rewarded in any way. There's never any excuse for doing something like the people involved did here was terrible. But
especially when it involves violence and or vandalism, stuff that's in many cases irreversible.
Yeah. And anyway, even the little old woman, she stole this scooter from somebody. He wasn't a close friend or anything, somebody she knew, and in the end she ends up close friend with him, but really that was not a very nice thing for her to do either. So some mixed feelings about that one. My Life is Murder. Now this one stars Lucy Lawless, and I don't know it's from New Zealand, which I've been liking such things lately, but let's talk about Harry Wild, which is down, it's even underneath this one, the in-between. So it's gotten quite far down on the stack, and honestly, I thought it was going to be bottom of the stack. I don't like this series, so this is series 3 of Harry Wild, and it's out of Ireland, and I don't know why exactly this one always does so much better than this one, because Jane Seymour, she's a hot chick for her age, it's amazing. And, well, Lucy Lawless, hot. But in this one, they make some jokes about, about her being Xena. They don't mention Xena, but it's great when they do, right? Like, she went into a hair salon and the hairdresser's like, have you ever thought of going dark with a blunt cut? And that was Xena, right? And then there's one episode where her sidekick here is doing some archery, learning how to shoot a bow, or shoot an arrow, not the bow. That would be interesting. But anyway, so she's learning how to do that, and she's not very good. And then Lucy Lawless's character, she takes a turn at it, and she's like, oh, I'll try. And she hits the bullseye right away. And she's like, well, I haven't done this in a couple decades. You know, and you know it's because of the Xena, right?
It's
so, you know, she was Xena in a couple decades. Yeah. So it helps to have some humor like that they're playing around with in the series. Another thing, this young man, he seems like a really nice person, but this whole, I don't know, February, November thing that they have going on, I don't like it. There's no chemistry between these two. And the young man, he's too young, being a teenager. I don't think anybody would look at him and go, oh yeah, he should be a private investigator or whatever. And she's constantly calling him a genius for when he comes up. And you're just thinking, wow, he's such an idiot the whole time you're watching it. So it doesn't work. And anyway, whereas like both of these, they have hot, I'm going to say has-been actresses, but I don't mean anything cruel by it, with
they're not James
person of
Bond
color
gals
sidekick. Huh?
They're not James Bond gals anymore.
No, they're not. But Lucy Lawless
could have
looks
been.
hot, as far as I'm concerned. She has lost a little bit of weight for this season, but not, I mean, she's still full-figured woman, and she looks great. But I think this works better because the sidekick in here, she has some skills. This guy, he's just some young punk. You're like, what is he even doing? Why does she keep him around? He's useless, really.
Well, he grows a great head of hair.
Yeah, but so does this one. So does this young lady.
Yeah.
And she has computer skills like crazy. So she's always very useful in this show. Every episode, she's very useful. Whereas this guy, you're like,
Looks as
maybe
though,
not.
does he do the driving or something like that? He's
I
on the wrong
don't
side
know
of the
if
car
he
for that.
really is good for anything.
Yeah.
So as much as they try to pump him up, she's always saying, "Oh, you're such a genius. You figured that out," or whatever. And you're thinking,
Yeah. Wishful motivation, maybe.
Yeah. And anyway, so what else was I going to say about why I think My Life is Murder works better? Oh, beautiful scenery. It's in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand.
New Zealand. I thought it was Australia, but then she was talking about how she was away in Australia for a while, and I was like, oh, must be New Zealand. I read the end of the episode, in the credits, and there it was, New Zealand. And I was like, oh, okay.
For
Beautiful scenery.
acre or hectare, New Zealand has better scenery than Australia. Australia's got some great scenery. It's just there's a lot of sandlots,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, which for most people wouldn't be that exciting unless they were trying to
But
survive.
honestly, surely there's got to be great scenery in Ireland too. Why aren't they playing it up in this? I don't know.
Well,
Give us something.
there's a lot of greenery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think they probably used to have forests there, same thing in Scotland, but they just got, I guess they used it for grazing or something like that, where she wiped the forest out.
So,
And then, like it's cold there, so you're using the forest for firewood.
and I like the way that she's making bread in this a lot. She makes her own homemade bread and she's giving it around and stuff like that. I like that. It's just a cute little thing she does. And I like that she used to be a police officer, and she just seems more to fit the role of a private investigator. This doesn't work. This doesn't work.
Yeah, there are a lot
And
of
I don't
people
know
who,
how they've managed to pull off 3 series.
There are a lot of former police officers around. They tend to retire early, like in Lethbridge, I think it was like age 45. Most guys were retiring. One guy became a bus driver. A couple of guys became real estate agents. That sort of stuff.
All right, so the in-between, this was above Harry Wild in the stack. But it's very close to the bottom. It was tough for me to watch. I'm not into this whole romance thing, and especially when it's teen romance. And honestly, the characters were written so they weren't even believable teens. I mean, this guy, he's too perfect. He's a big boat rowing jock. I don't know what that's called. Yeah. And he does all sorts of, he knows 3 other languages other than English, and he's, he's just too good to be true. And
Is
yet,
he artistic too?
No, she is. And honestly, she's watching it going, okay, well, this is some young artistic girl's wet dream, really. I don't know. It's not believable. And the fact that he's so interested in her, and she's really seemed quite useless. She's a photographer, which honestly, as far as visual arts goes,
Any of the arts.
Any of
Bottom.
Exactly. Photography is like 99% the camera. Honestly, no. Well, the scene.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
And then
it's about 50% the
There's
camera,
very
49% just being there.
Yeah, just happening to catch a beautiful image or a whatever image. And so it really, I didn't like this show. at all. There was the whole, whatever. If you want to watch it, you'll watch it. It's not worth talking about anymore. Rage. Bottom of the stack. This was unbelievably bad. From Australia, what I used to expect from Australia. This is 2020. Too recently for this level of bad out of Australia. Really.
Well, it's maybe what we used to come to expect from...
It's what we used to.
Who's that idiot, Mel Gibson? Road Rage. What was that called? Roadrunner? Yeah, but it was Road something or Roadkill. I can't remember.
Road Warrior?
Road Warrior, that's it. Yeah.
So, anyway, they made a kind of spoof out of that or joke in Deadpool Wolverine too.
Well, there
but, yeah, so this one, it's a detective
no,
drama.
Gibson's just
That's
kind
what
of
I call
like,
these
it's like Donald Trump. It's just, all you have to do is mention the name and you'll raise if not a smile, a sneer. So, yeah.
Yeah, but this one is 143 minutes long, so it's way too long for this. And
who's the main actor there? Anyone?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
There's nobody important in this.
Okay.
The best thing that can be said for this movie, there were a great pair of breasts jiggling really nicely. And so, but that only takes up maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds of the movie or 20. So really, and a great pair of breasts cannot make a whole movie.
You hear that,
so,
you guys? Yeah.
No matter how well you get them jiggling. So, yeah, this is just unbelievably bad. It could have been edited to be an hour and a half, which makes it even worse. You're watching it and going, oh boy, these people are repeating things that they should know, not only that we know, but, and it's not believable. It could have been tweaked so the story would work, but it has a bad ending, and yeah, nobody would want to watch this. Exactly 0 people. I can't believe I made it through.
Maybe they didn't even watch the rushes. Just film the day's filming. Okay, put it in the can and we'll release it.
Yeah.
No one even want to check it out.
I know. I think that's what they did. I think they just decided, why bother even editing this thing? It'll just take more time.
Yeah.
Let's just put it out. That's what I got the feeling when
it cost us more that way.
Exactly. Yeah, because
time. Yeah.
They realized it was bad. So, you have 11 minutes to talk about whatever you like, James.
Well, there we go. So this is my
And
way
I'll
of
feed it
introducing a book that I didn't bring today, but I finished it. And it's actually 3 books in one. It's a small format version of 3 Tintin, or Tang Tang, extravaganza.
Oh, you were looking for the meat.
So one, I've forgotten the name, it's something about oil, gold, or something like that. It takes place in the Middle East and some pseudonymous sheikdom, and as I recall. And then 2 of the remaining 2 of the 3 are two-part story. One is about making a rocket for the moon, and the other is actually going to the moon. And I'm not going to say whether they make it back because I'll need a spoiler alert for that. Because there's, like a good comic book writer or scripter or whatever scripts it so it's a real page turner. Like Tan and Snowy and Captain Haddock. They're in danger at the end of a 2-page spread, and you're motivated to flip the thing over. Anyway, it's quite good. I wouldn't recommend buying the thing. I'm sure I can't be sure they're available in the libraries anymore. There's so much stuff that people would consider politically incorrect. Yeah. But I'm not, I shouldn't say people. Most of the people that consider that stuff politically incorrect are really monsters.
That's all?
They're out there witch hunting, this, that, and the other thing. And of course, they still hold a grudge about what they call witch hunting in the late 40s and first half of the 50s in the United States, when the people whose foreign policy that they were, well, barely people, that they were supporting, the Soviets were Stalinists. They were doing real witch hunting where people died. I think the only people who died during the so-called witch hunts in the United States were Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, whatever their last name was, Rosen something or other. And I think it's fairly evident that he was a spy, and she would have known about it at the very least. I suspect she was a spy too. It's just maybe he had more access to stuff and so on and so forth. I suspect they worked as a team. What sort of spy would marry someone, you know, like who wasn't in on the joke or whatever? You know, like, I think that's why you got a guy like Clay Shaw who was involved in
I think it could happen very easily.
I don't know. I'll mention Clay Shaw, who was a gay fella, and he was actually put up for trial by Jim Garrison, the district attorney.
They shouldn't.
For what?
They shouldn't.
Who? What?
Spies marry somebody.
No, they shouldn't. So Julius Rosenberg, if he, many of these folks, these spies, started out quite young. Arthur Koestler, I think, was young enough to not know better when he offered his services to spy for the Soviet Union. And this was during the Stalin era, I think. But he eventually figured it out. I don't think they ever trusted him to do much of anything. 5 minutes?
Almost 7.
7. Anyway, so I've just been thinking about the moon a lot, you know, like, about the stars and so on and so forth. One of my favorite things is the only eclipse, lunar or solar, mentioned in Egyptian history, in many traditions, like in the Hindu tradition, there's an eclipse that's should be used to date the Mahabharata war. That's in the in one of the two great epics in the Indian or Hindu tradition, and there's in Syria, there's at least one eclipse, and that's not in a tradition, that's a historic account. The Greek tradition, there's 2 eclipses, as far as I'm talking about solar eclipses. And of course in the Mesopotamian tradition, particularly the Assyrian tradition, there's any number of recorded lunar eclipses with details, in other words, showing how the shadow of the earth crawled across the moon and stuff like that. Very impressive when we're talking about the Assyrian tradition. And you know, there's a solar eclipse mentioned in the tradition history of Ugarit, I'm not sure exactly where the accent comes from that name. That's located in present day Syria, as I recall, just north of Lebanon. And the Hittites, who had something like an empire, you wouldn't call it a world empire, in the what they call the late Bronze Age. It's misdated by 500 years, so it's roughly between 900 BC to 700 BC, not 1400 BC to 1200 BC, as they like to have it. They even record eclipse in the 10th year of Mercilus II or Mercilus II. I'm not sure exactly, again, where the accent comes in that name. It's in its 10th year. And these are wonderful because they help out with dating immensely. Of course, with anything that's dated by the Egyptian tradition, you can't date the solar eclipse in Merciless II's 10th year. You know, like Bryce, world expert on Hittite history, was really ecstatic to date that or identify that eclipse with a solar eclipse at something like below 50%. I think it was below 40%. Ridiculous. It has to be 100%. If he had actually done his homework, he would have found out that for people before the time of Thales, Greek thinker, scientist, maybe even a bit of a philosopher, let's call him a natural philosopher. When was that? 585 BC, I remember. This is over yesterday. I'm not quite that old. Anyway, he before then, if people aren't able to predict an eclipse, unless it's 100%, they won't be able to see it. Yeah, so what's this with Bryce's under 50%? I think it's under 40%. Maybe it's 43%. Ridiculous. Absolute nonsense. If you take 500 years out of the chronology, not the history of the Egyptian accounts, the Egyptologist's interpretation and misinterpretation of things, all of a sudden there's an eclipse at 857 BC. There you go. Yeah. Over the southern part of present-day Turkey, which is part of the Hittite, not just empire, kind of like their core, where they came from. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is, 857 BC. 100% eclipse, not under 50. Okay? And, I'd already done the redating before I tracked that down. And it's not something where you go, man, oh man, I'm going to mess with the stats. I'm just going to fudge the figures and make one up. No, it's just there. The exact year. Because I can date that 857 BC to the 10th year of Merciless II. I'd already dated it according to Assyrian data. Wow. Yeah. All I need is the one, and Egyptian chronology is gone. But getting back to the lunar eclipse, they do have one eclipse recorded in Egyptian history. Wow. And it's in how much time? 2, 3?
About a minute.
Yeah. It's in Taklot. They say the third.
That's hot.
The third, 15th year. And big trouble is, you see, Taklot is Tukulti. Hebrew, Tiglath. Assyrian. You see, the Assyrians were really fascinated with lunar eclipses. And he was a partial ruler, part of Egypt, a cat's paw for the Assyrian Empire, which had moved into Egypt at that point in time. Tukulti, Taklot. Tiglath, you notice, they say, oh, that's Tukulti. They see, that's not as close as Taklot, Egyptian. But no, they say Taklot's Libyan. Ridiculous. And the details are the important thing. Because the details, we know, we can retrocalculate, are exactly what are recorded in the Egyptians thing. Though there was an eclipse, there was rebellion in the land. The Assyrian interpretation of that eclipse was there would be peace in Egypt, in that area of Egypt to the west.